For a moment, I didn't understand what had happened. My husband, standing menacingly, had thrown a vase that shattered, and then I realized I had been doused with water from the vase by him.
Clean up the room before I get home.
Yes, I'll make sure it's tidy. It was my fault for napping. After blaming me, my husband, satisfied, left for his business trip. He probably thought it was safe to say anything to me with nowhere else to go. His attitude became increasingly tyrannical. He probably doesn't know I never imagined I would completely lose a place to call home. I'm Evelyn, 36 years old, married to my husband Noah 5 years ago. We had what you would call an office marriage. Both of us started working at the same time, so we naturally vented about work and supported each other, leading to our relationship. Things smoothly progressed to marriage. I didn't quit my job. Thankfully, my boss was supportive, saying,
Feel free to take maternity and childcare leaves.
so we planned accordingly. However, we struggled to have children.
Could it be Evelyn is infertile?
It's not necessarily just my problem, right?
No, usually these things are on the woman's side.
We had our disputes over this, but after years of fertility treatments, I finally got pregnant. My husband wasn't keen on the treatment, so I paid for them with my savings. It nearly drained my account, but I was genuinely happy about the pregnancy. Then another surprise. Twins? I was expecting twins. The prospect of raising twins was daunting, but my husband was purely joyful.
Twins will be so cute. Can't wait. They'll look great in photos.
What do you mean look great in photos? His optimism sometimes irritated me, but I knew he was trying to encourage me in his way. Despite some complications, both twins were born healthy, a boy and a girl, Logan and Mia. Raising twins was indeed intense. After childbirth, my recovery was slow. My mom, Harper, and my mother-in-law, Charlotte, came to help, but when they left a month later, I broke down. I can't handle them alone. Please don't go. It was a cry from my heart, though part of it was due to my mental state, but they had their lives too. Even the 1 month they stayed was a favor.
We'll raise them together.
My husband convinced me. Being patted on the head and told, "You're not alone, Evelyn," was comforting, but soon I realized the truth. My husband was all talk, no action. Raising them together was a fantasy. He wouldn't lift a finger unless asked. He couldn't anticipate needs or take initiatives. Sometimes he even refused when asked. Change Logan's diaper. I'm breastfeeding Mia.
No way. Can't do that. He's pooped. Evelyn, you do it.
He adamantly refused to change dirty diapers. But I'm breastfeeding.
Just change it after. Modern diapers can handle a weight. The smell's making me sick. I'm gonna throw up. I need a break.
For him, parenting was only doing what he felt like when he felt like it. I had no choice but to step up. When the twins turned 1, I decided to return to work. Luckily, in our rural area, both got into daycare. Back at work, everyone was kind, almost treating me like a newbie. People often said balancing work and parenting must be tough, but honestly, it was easier than being home alone with the kids. I could eat and talk with colleagues without worrying about the twins. The real challenge was solo parenting, but there were troubling times too. The kids often fell sick. I had to leave work early or take sudden leave, always apologizing to my colleagues. I asked my husband for help, but he was indifferent.
I've been working hard while Evelyn was off,
he would say nonsensically. When I looked upset, he would retort,
You shouldn't have gone back to work then.
Then, 3 months into my job, in front of Charlotte, my husband said,
Kids should be with their mom until at least 3. They get sick because you force them into daycare. Don't you feel bad for causing trouble at work?
What is he even saying? I feel so wronged. Unlike you, who can work overtime freely, I have been struggling to work in a comfortable environment. I wanted to scream. Don't act like you know everything. But I held back because Charlotte was there. Charlotte also present look awkward but seemed mostly in agreement with my husband. You know, maybe you don't need to push yourself to work. If you're ever in trouble, just tell us, we can help financially. I couldn't possibly say I wanted to keep working after that. So I quit my job and returned to full-time parenting. But this time was different. My income, unlike the last childcare leave, my income was now zero since I quit. My husband's salary wasn't much. Naturally, our family's finances tightened. This month's tied with the car repair bill.
So what?
Knowing full well my husband pressed me with an irritated tone. Still, I timidly asked him, "Can we borrow a bit from Charlotte?" She had said, "Feel free to ask me for anything." So I thought maybe we could ask her, but he clearly didn't like the idea.
You want to take money from my family?
It's not taking. I thought we could pay back when I start working again.
No way. That's out of the question. We will never borrow from my family. Manage the household budget. That's your job.
That's how he always ended the conversation. I tried negotiating when he seemed in a good mood, but it was futile. There was no way my savings were spent on fertility treatments. My family, a single mother, had no money to lend. Finally, I decided to sell my car. It brought in some money, though not much. When I told my husband, he seemed pleased.
I always thought it was unnecessary. You're home anyway. You don't need a car. Great, right?
Despite needing a car in this area with few buses, now I had to walk everywhere with the twins. What about shopping? I held back tears. By then, I was considering divorce. My husband still only cared for the kids when he felt like it. He did love them, but only when it suited him. All these things piled up and I couldn't see a future with him. I wanted to discuss divorce with my mom first, but I couldn't because of one thing. Grandma's care. Recently, Grandma fell ill and needed care. Mom had moved in with her, juggling work and caring for her at home. I couldn't stress her with my divorce. I couldn't say that I thought so. Plus, with Grandma there, I couldn't return to my family home. No job, no savings, no home to return to. That made deciding on divorce impossible. My husband, realizing I couldn't leave, grew bolder. Complaining about dinner, clicking his tongue at a messy house, he became a terrible tyrant. I just tried not to upset him. Before I knew it, the kids were too. Adorable, yes, but with emerging egos, not easy, especially two of them. Today, as soon as I looked away, they had drawn all over the carpet with a permanent marker. Who made this mess? Where did you find the marker? It should have been in the drawer. Noah again? As I scolded them, both burst into tears. It was almost nap time, and they were probably tired. They cried for a bit, they fell asleep. I sighed, waiting for the right moment to lay them down. Need to fix this before my husband returns. So sleepy. They have started waking up at night again. First upstairs. That's where my thoughts trailed off.
What are you doing?
What? The next thing I knew, I was soaked. For a moment, I didn't understand what had happened. There he stood, my husband, with a stern face towering over me intimidatingly.
Here you are, napping while others work hard. Must be nice to have it so easy.
He said that and carelessly threw something near me. I heard something break. That's when my mind cleared. It was a vase that had shattered. I had fallen asleep unknowingly and been doused with the vase's water by him. The water was one thing, but the fear of the vase being thrown was another. It could have hit me, or maybe he didn't care if it did. Where are Logan and Mia? I snapped back to reality and looked around. From the gap under the door to the next room, I could hear the kids' laughter and the sound of a TV cartoon. Thank God.
Hey, are you even listening?
Yes, I replied, head bowed.
It must be nice to be a housewife, so leisurely while I'm exhausted from work.
There is no point in fighting back against him in these moments. I just kept my head down. I'm sorry, I answered.
You're prepared for my business trip tomorrow, right?
Yes. I handed him the bag packed with underwear and shirts. He peeked inside and nodded.
I'm upset to have such an unpleasant experience before my trip. It's frustrating.
I'm sorry. I looked up through my hair and he was smiling smugly.
Clean up the room before I get home.
Yes, I'll make sure it's tidy.
You said it. Make it spotless. Remember, you have nowhere else to go. Just listen to me.
When I nodded, he seemed very pleased. left the house humming a tune. After hearing the door close and his car engine fade, I opened the door to the next room. Logan, Mia, there, laughing and playing, were the twins and my mother, her hands over their ears, tears streaming down her face. As soon as she saw me, she gently let the children go and embraced me. Mom, Evelyn, you did well. You endured so much. She hugged me tighter. Turns out, Mom had been at our house since just before noon, a few hours before my husband returned. She called me this morning. Grandma has been moved to a facility. They had been looking for a place for a while and finally found one. Now I can come help you, she had said. Worried about me crying over the phone, she had come to visit. Noah's doing such terrible things. She knew some of it, but probably not to this extent. I didn't expect to be doused with water either. Anger trembled in Mom's voice. Before I fell asleep, Mom had been upstairs hanging laundry. When she came down, we were still asleep. The kids woke up first and played in the next room, careful not to wake me. I wanted to jump in, but was worried about the kids. She turned up the TV volume and covered their ears. She must have been scared too. Thank you, Mom. She nodded and said, first, take a bath. Then we'll talk. After bathing, I'd found Mom on the phone. Thank you, I appreciate it. She hung up cheerfully. Mom, who are you talking to? She smiled and told me she even shared her plans for the future. All I could think was, that sounds interesting, but will it really work? Don't worry, I'm with you. Let's do this together. She hugged me again. I never imagined Mom would go to such lengths. The next day, I was at my old workplace to consult. Having Mom on my side was great, but money was the biggest issue in divorcing. I would likely get custody, but I doubted my husband would willingly pay child support. I didn't have any special qualifications. Returning to my old job would be ideal. I would prefer not to be at the same place as my husband, but if we're in different departments, we won't see each other. Even I couldn't return. Getting information about the same industry would help. I came knowing it was a long shot. My boss Amelia greeted me with a smile, saying, "It's been a while." Amelia is a woman I've always admired. I even consulted her when I had arguments with my husband. "It's been a while. Sorry for the sudden visit." It's okay. But what's this about? I was unsure how much to share, especially since my husband would still be working here. I decided it was best not to mention the Vase incident. I didn't want to make things difficult for Amelia. I simply explained that I was considering divorcing my husband and was looking for a job. I'd be happy to come back here, but if not, maybe, of another good place. I knew it was a tough task, but I needed help. Amelia's response surprised me. "I thought so." "You thought so? Evelyn, it's a tough topic, but can you stay calm and listen?" Amelia started with a serious face. Her words were shocking but somehow made sense. "So, that's how it was. Sorry, I know you didn't want to hear this." "No, thank you. This information could work to my advantage." Consulting Amelia was the right choice. It felt weird to be happy about this, but it was an unexpected gain. And that wasn't all. Amelia had spoken with the company's higher-ups about my return. There was a need for more staff, and they quickly decided I could come back. "I'm on your side, Evelyn. You can do it, but don't rush. We'll wait for you." "Thank you so much." Amelia assured me, "It's not just me. I think everyone is on your side." One problem down. Now, I just had to settle things with my husband. A few days later, my husband called me while I was at my parents' house with the kids.
What's this about?
He was shouting as usual, but there was a hint of panic in his voice. "What do you mean?"
You're going back to work. I got the info.
Must be Amelia's doing. She had said she would spread the word to ease my return, but I hadn't expected it to reach my husband on his business trip. "How did you know? Who told you?" A simple question, but he hesitated to answer. Even when I pressed, he dodged the question.
Anyway, there's a rumor we're divorcing, so I'm going to the office to quash it. I won't let you return.
"Now, what about your trip?"
I'm heading back, so let's meet at the office. Don't bring the kids.
He sounded desperate. He always acted tough at home, but his image at work seemed important. I knew there were other reasons too. I texted Amelia I'll be there soon and headed to the office. My husband had already arrived. He glared at me for a moment, then forced a smile. All for show.
Oh, where are the kids?
With Mom, at home.
I see.
We entered the building together. Reaching our department, I was greeted with a chorus of welcome back from colleagues, superiors, and juniors. They all clapped and smiled as they approached. My husband and I were quickly surrounded, Amelia among them. She took my hand and repeated, "Welcome back." My husband, standing next to me, looked unsettled.
What's all this?
He asked with a forced laugh. Amelia replied, "We saw Evelyn and couldn't resist. She's coming back next month. We are all excited."
Next month? That soon?
Ignoring my confused husband, I chatted with other colleagues and Amelia. "Where are the kids today?" "With Mom." "They haven't started daycare yet." Seeing an opportunity, my husband's eyes lit up.
Right, I wanted to decline the return offer since we don't have childcare. Today was to...
"What are you talking about, Noah?" Amelia looked at him puzzled. He faltered.
Just stating a fact.
"Noah, you're out of the loop, don't you know? We have an on-site daycare now."
What?
Amelia explained the new daycare setup to my bewildered husband. The on-site daycare is literally a daycare within the company. It's a place for employees' children, and currently there's enough room for anyone interested. That's why there's no problem, Amelia explained with a smile.
I see.
My husband replied, his face strained. However, the daycare only takes kids up to 3 years old, so after that, you'll need to find a nursery. At this, my husband's eyes lit up again.
Unfortunately, that might be tough for us. Our kids are almost 3. Right, Evelyn?
I tilted my head puzzled. Why would that be tough? It should be fine.
No, because, people often don't get into nurseries. It's going to be hard with twins.
His vague explanation made me say it outright. It's okay. Single parents usually get some priority.
Single parent?
That's when I carefully pulled out a document. With everyone watching, I handed it to my husband.
This is
a divorce petition. Noah, please divorce me. He stood there trembling with the document in hand.
Why?
You should know why. What you did to me, what you didn't do for me, I'll never forget. He was taken aback but then shook his head in protest.
That's just a small misunderstanding. You want a divorce over that?
Should I list a bigger reason for a divorce like infidelity? He swayed, his face turning pale.
What? That's...
You can't pretend you don't know. Everyone's aware, the young lady from our client, right? Weren't you accompanied by her on this trip? People saw you. He tried to deny it, eyes darting left and right. This was the crucial information Amelia had shared. How dare you act so high and mighty? What's so easy about being a housewife? You left the parenting to me while having an affair.
That's,
I was dreading working at the same place as you, but thanks to you, it looks like I won't have to. Given his misconduct, he's bound to face some sort of disciplinary action.
This is...
You better face the consequences. I'm leaving now.
Wait, Evelyn, wait.
He tried to stop me, but everyone around him held him back. Later, he would be reprimanded and face consequences, but that wasn't the end of it. That night, as I was about to bathe, my phone rang. It was my husband. Yes?
Evelyn, what's this about? I came home to find the house gone, just an empty lot. Where are you? Where are Logan and Mia?
My husband sounded like he was about to cry over the phone. In fact, it seemed like he was already crying. What's wrong?
When I got home, the house is gone. Just an empty lot. Where are you, Evelyn? Where are Logan and Mia?
I nodded and explained. After he left on his business trip, the person Mom had been talking to on the phone was a real estate agent. We had been asked to sell the house before, so we decided to do so.
You sold my house without telling me?
The house was in my name. I was the one who paid for it. You didn't contribute a single cent, remember? The real estate agent, happy to hear from Mom, quickly proceeded with the sale. However, they introduced us to a new property, and we moved swiftly. And more importantly, the agent was interested in the land, not the house, so they cleared it right away. My husband, unaware of this, must have been shocked when he returned home.
I was planning to talk things over with you when I got back.
I don't want to discuss anything. Reflect on how you have exploited and mistreated me. He was crying, but I felt no sympathy for him. I cleaned up everything as promised. It's spotless now. With that, I ended the call. There were a few more calls later, but they didn't concern me. Without a worry, I took a bath with the twins. He kept saying he didn't want a divorce, but after some persuasion from the in-laws, the divorce was finally finalized. Of course, I received alimony and child support. My ex-husband became infamous for his affair and eventually quit his job. Now, he's working in a factory introduced by his parents. Given his pride, life must be hard for him. As for me, I live peacefully with mom and the kids. Every day, I'm amazed and grateful for the contrast between my ex-husband and mom. It reinforced my belief that parenting isn't a solo task. Amelia sometimes visits and plays with the kids. Though they still require a lot of care, our current situation feels manageable. A brighter future seems within reach.